welcome back. My name is Yenja and I'm a memory champion.
Yenja Wintersoul is a grandmaster of memory
and person who graduated from business school 2 years early thanks to study techniques and memory techniques. But you probably already knew that if you're subscribed, so if you're not, please subscribe to see more of these videos and help me pay my bills. So by the end of today's video, I want you to have some tools to be able to remember more of what you're learning by just tweaking your learning habits a little bit. And I'm also announcing the winner of the giveaway for the lifetime subscription of Drops, the language learning app. If you want to know how I graduated from business school 2 years early, you are very welcome to get my study course that is launching today. I'm sure you're going to love it, especially if you loved my memory course. And this study course is where I put all of my little tricks and techniques for how to study in one single place with 25 lessons, how to memorize 10 words of Mexican Spanish in a couple of minutes, and how to adjust your learning based on your learning type, and so much more. To get my brand new study course at the cheapest it's ever going to be, please press the link down below. The first piece of advice I have for studying is if you only remember one thing and apply that one thing from all that I'll ever say, it's this: everything is figure outable. It's also the title of a book by Marie Forleo that I haven't gotten around to reading yet, but I really want to read because I agree with this so much. I don't know if everything is figure outable, but everything is learnable. I recently attended a book club event where we were discussing Mind and Matter by John Urschel and Louisa Thomas. John Urschel is a former NFL player, current mathematician, and Louisa Thomas is an excellent writer. And one of the main themes of the book is the idea of diverging identities. That you can actually be an NFL player and also a brilliant mathematician. In our society, we have a tendency to say that you can be good at this domain but not the other. But the truth is that everything is learnable, and just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean it makes you worse at the other. I had very terrible grades in high school, and some of that was because teachers just told me, you're not going to be good at this subject, I want you to drop out. Literally, a teacher did that to me. And his argument was, you're good at languages, but you're not good at my subject. And I talked to my biology teacher about it, and he completely disagreed and said that's ridiculous. And now in hindsight, with memory techniques and study techniques, I completely agree with him. The act of learning how to learn is not domain specific. When you start to learn how to learn, you can apply it to becoming better at tennis, or golf, or acting, or coding, or memorizing a bunch of decks of cards, and you need to understand that it is possible for you. Okay, so how do we actually learn how to learn? Well, one of my favorite things is this idea of distributed learning. Don't cram, distribute your learning. So for example, right now I'm studying a lot of Brazilian Portuguese. In my fantasy world, I sit for 3 hours straight and I'm studying and being really diligent about it. But I know that that's not me. It is actually more efficient if I learn 5 minutes here and there throughout the day instead of sitting and trying to cram a bunch of information into my mind at the same time. And this is called the spacing effect, where you basically try to distribute your learning over a longer period of time. So for example, if you study a couple of words today, then maybe you want to study a couple of words tomorrow or in an hour from now, instead of trying to learn hundreds and hundreds of words in one sitting. Because your brain needs a little bit of a break to be able to process the information and can't take it all in one go. When you're listening to a lecture or taking notes from your book, try to write it out by hand instead of typing. Why? Because when you're typing, you can usually type faster than you can write by hand, so you end up transcribing more than you're actually learning. There are lots of theories about why this works. One of my favorite ones is that the more we engage more of our body, the more we actually learn. So although both are physical activities, typing and writing, writing has more of a physical space aspect than just typing in this concentrated space. On the topic of using your body more, I want you to try something called using the production effect. Now that sounds very fancy, but it's actually just a fancy word for saying things out loud. When you produce something so that it's out in the world instead of just in your head, you have that much more of an easy time learning and internalizing the concept. Now, let me show you what I mean. I could be learning all of these Portuguese words and just saying them in my head. So in the Drops app, the lady will say, "A espreguiçadeira," and that means sun chair. It's one of my favorite words. But when she says it, it's easy for me to think, oh, I know this because I've seen it visually, and just not say it out loud. But when I say it out loud, I am not only encoding it deeper because I'm creating a muscle memory in my this area, whatever parts are made for speaking. And I'm also encoding it deeper because I'm getting to say it out loud using the production effect. So when we say things out loud, we actually memorize them better. And I think that's such a nifty trick. Now, I've had to revise my goal of saying it at the breakfast table because apparently it's really annoying when you sit and just say random foreign words in front of other people. A célula. A célula. No, o átomo. Ooh, no! I was in too much of a rush. And this is actually a concept that I learned in coding bootcamp as well. There's something called rubber duck debugging. It sounds crazy, but it actually works the times I remember to do it. And the basic idea is that you talk to a rubber duck when you're trying to debug your code so that you have something to talk to, so that it's externalized, the production effect, so that it's externalized instead of just in your head.
What exactly is the function of a rubber duck? Oh.
Because when things are just in your head, they can feel so overwhelming and there's a bunch of mental gymnastics. If you try to do long division on paper versus in your head, it's going to be that much easier doing it on paper. And this advice I give all the time: when you read or consume information, do active recall. Don't just think that because you've consumed it, you've learned it. We confuse consumption with learning, and active recall is a way to actually test if you have been encoding it properly. I know a lot of the students that I coach, they will try to just read a chapter over and over again until it's internalized somehow. But our brains don't really work that way. It is actually better to maybe read a paragraph and see what you understand from that paragraph instead of trying to just consume all this knowledge and think that you're memorizing it. So when you read a paragraph or maybe a chapter, see what you've actually understood. Try to make a mind map out of it. And when you do a mind map, it is easier for your brain to see where there are gaps in your knowledge or which concepts you think are related to one another. Another tip I have that sounds counterintuitive but actually works is the concept of interleaving. And this is just a fancy way to say that you want to study different subjects a little bit at a time. So for example, right now I'm learning a bunch of new things, and the way I'm doing it that is actually helping me process better is if I do a little bit of Portuguese, and then I do a little bit of memory training, and then I do a little bit of coding, instead of spending 8 hours coding and then 8 hours Portuguese, 8 hours memory training. And this concept of interleaving is actually something that a lot of great thinkers, but also sports professionals do. For example, Einstein used to take walks when he was trying to figure out a problem or just take a break from the problem, or he would play the violin. And again, it might seem like the violin or taking walks don't have anything to do with physics, but it actually does. The more you learn, the easier it is to learn, and it's also important to try to learn different things. So if you're studying mathematics for 1 hour, then maybe you want to study your music theory class for 1 hour, so that you're using not necessarily different parts of the brain, but it feels like different domains to you, and that distinction will be helpful enough for you to be able to encode information better. So let's do an exercise in active recall right now. What did you learn? What advice did I give in this video that you found the most helpful? Please drop it in the comments down below. And the winner of the giveaway for a lifetime subscription to Drops is Sarah Kang, who wrote, "Hi again, Yenja. My language goal is to ace my final university Korean course, and the habit I'm doing is an hour of dedicated study time per day after dinner with a cup of tea at my desk." So congratulations to Sarah. You totally wrote down the what, when, and where of your habit goal. And thank you to everyone who participated in the giveaway. Y'all have amazing goals, and it was so fun reading through all of them, and I'm happy that we're doing this language learning journey together. And if you want to see my 90-day language plan, feel free to subscribe and stick around, and I'll talk to you next week where I'll be talking about that. I'm so happy and so grateful you watched until the end of this video. You are truly a rare and great person with a huge attention span. I'm very impressed. So see you next week. Bye!